As Monster Hunter World has completed its development, all of the previously limited time events are now permanently available. Scrolling through the events list on the quest board can be a very overwhelming experience. I've been doing my best to demystify this with event roundup videos and individual spotlights as well. These cover all parts of the game from low rank to high rank to master rank, so definitely check them out if you haven't done so. I'm sure there's going to be something of value there for you. I'm Light It Up Dan, and on this channel we cover action RPGs, roguelikes, and MMOs, including lots of Monster Hunter World, I'm sure you've noticed, and other titles like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Over 99% of the viewers on the channel are unsubscribed, despite there being quite a large majority of returning viewers. It would mean the world to me if you do enjoy the videos, do subscribe, and with that said, let's get to it. There are 4 separate events starting from low rank over to high rank over to master rank that you can participate in and get yourself some good armor, a brilliant longsword and bow, and even a bunch of palico gear too. These are going to be super useful for you no matter what part of the game you're in. Let's start from the top. USJ Gold Star Treatment is a 3-star low rank HR4 quest taking place in the arena that puts you up against 3 great Jagresses. You can do this from very early on in your Monster Hunter World experience. Depending on which point you're doing this in, it may be completely trivialized. Either way, you shouldn't have too much difficulty with it. The 3 great Jagresses are of comical sizes. There's an absolute miniature one, a gigantic one, and a pretty normal sized one too. Not too much to go over here. The great Jagresses have got a pretty simple attack pattern. Avoid them by sticking to the sides of them a little bit, get damage out on the head, and you'll be done in no time. Once you've toppled the 3 great Jagress musketeers, you will be rewarded with an Azure Star shard, hopefully even a few. You're going to need 3 of these to craft the Azure Star blade, the longsword. Coming in at rarity 3, a low rank longsword, which you're going to need to make first if you want to make the higher rank and the master rank one eventually. You can also make a full set of palico gear with them, so if you've got any spares left over, or you just want to make it, definitely get that done too. Next up, we've got USJ Blazing Azure Stars, a 7-star HR13 quest, moving over to high rank now, pitting you up against comically sized monsters, this time a Dodogama and an Azure Rathalos, taking place in the Elder's Recess, and once again, depending on what part of the game you're in, this might be completely trivialized, but once more, you're going to want to do it. You'll notice the Dodogama is absolutely massive, a target you can't really miss. Watch for its blast attacks, use the environment of the Elder's Recess to your advantage, such as falling pillars, etc., and you'll have no problem. Azure Rathalos is a menace at the best of times, but given that it's such a tiny version of the creature, you shouldn't really have too much of a problem avoiding its attacks. Try not to get set on fire or poisoned, knock it out of the sky when it's hovering around. You'll get this done in no time. Once you've tackled the blue duo, you'll be rewarded with the Azure Star gem. Again, preferably, hopefully, a few. You'll need a couple of these to get the Azure Star blade upgrade, taking it to the Azure Star Dragon Dance longsword. Rarity 7, high rank, good damage, and you'll notice that affinity is super juicy. Even the low rank one was great. Now it has a level 3 gem slot on it as well. You can also make the full Azure Star Lord Alpha armor set, which looks absolutely killer, and is pretty great as well, especially for the point in the game that you can get it. You'll need 5 of the Azure Star gems to craft the whole set. Solid defenses, great elemental resistances with no negatives, some handicraft recovery up, critical boost, and Rathalos mastery for critical element and mind's eye / ballistics. Not bad. Over to the master rank events now. First, we've got the USJ Shine On Forever mission, a 5-star MR18 quest, meaning you're going to need to be a fair bit into Iceborne, but you won't have to have completed it, pitting you up against Velkhana that you face in the Celiana outskirts, aka the Celiana supply cache. Velkhana being an elder dragon, it's a pretty tough fight. It can be super fun and it can also be super frustrating. Both can be true at the same time. Like arguments with my significant other. I'm joking, those are never fun. In addition to the extra things that you've got access to in this area, including the Dragon Razor and the moving ballista thing, it is a standard fight against Velkhana, an ice elemental elder dragon that is very weak to fire and pretty weak to thunder and dragon element, and of course any elder seal that you have will help against its ice armor. You can come in with 20 ice resist plus to help mitigate some of the damage you're going to otherwise take, and gives you invulnerability to ice blight. You can instead use an ice mantle, your cleanser booster, or even null berries if you want. You have different options. She's very vulnerable to damage against the head, like most monsters tend to be, and if you're coming in with blunt bonks, you should be able to get off quite a few KOs as well. Watch her tail swap swipes and her ice blasts. Try your best to knock her out of her Elder Dragon powered up state with the ice armor. If you can get dragon pods off her with non-instant wounding clutch claw attacks, that's going to be really useful if you don't have a dragon weapon with Elder Seal on it anyway. The dragon pods can act as like a sort of same thing. As with all Iceborne monsters, use your clutch claw wisely. Any opportunity you've got when she's not enraged is one that's perfect to send her into the wall, get that big wall bang off, and a massive damage window. You can also use any nearby ledges to try to get jumping attacks off for easy mounts, or just mega bonks. Once you're done getting colder than Jack Dawson at the end of Titanic, you will be rewarded with at least one Azure Era seal, hopefully more. You'll need just the one to craft the Azure Era Soaring Dragon Bow, a rarity 9 bow with good raw, good affinity, water elemental damage, and a level 4 gem slot. I mean, that 30% affinity and level 4 gem slot is pretty good. At the very least, it's a fantastic place to start with bow if you're already in master rank and you don't have any others made. Kinda what I did. You can also use 3 to make the Azure Star-Lord layer armor set, and another 3 for a full set of Palico gear. If you're interested in pendants, you can also make the Azure Era wind chime with it. And finally, that brings us to the USJ Ballet of Frost, a 5-star MR18 quest against the Frostfang Barrieth in Hoarfrost Reach. Once more, needing to be towards the end part of Iceborne without having to have finished it should hopefully be pretty accessible for a bunch of you who are in master rank. Frostfang Barrieth is a variant of the regular Barrieth that is a little bit more icy. It tends to chain some attacks together, which can be pretty tricky to deal with and can root you in place with ice attacks before Hulk smashing you Loki style. I really commonly hear that people prefer Frostfang Barrieth over regular Barrieth. Me personally, I think they're both tricky in their own rights, and you're going to need to be focused during your fight. Another ice elemental monster that is going to inflict ice blight on you, which you can negate with 20 ice resistance and above, 3 blight resistance, or even resuscitate to cancel out the effects. You can of course use your cleanser booster, null berries, your ice mantle, etc. It's very weak to fire elemental and pretty weak to thunder elemental, and like the original Barrieth, is going to hop around all over the place. Fighting it where you can first find it inside its lair, although very daunting and intimidating, can actually make the fight a lot easier for you. Gives him less room to kind of jump all over the place, but can and will Spider-Man onto the walls. The head is very weak to all sorts of damage, you can get multiple breaks on its fangs, and perhaps most importantly, like with the regular Barrieth, if you break its front 2 claws, or wings, its arms, the monster will stumble every single time it does one of its jumping, leaping attacks. This is really helpful for you to slow down the fight, gaining lots of additional opportunities and damage windows. As with all Iceborne monsters, they are designed with the clutch claw in mind. Find opportunities to wound the parts for additional damage, and crucially get those wall bangs off whenever you can. Depending on where your fight takes you, you might have opportunities to use a ledge to try and get off some mounts. Always useful to get those for an additional topple and another big damage window for you and your squad. Once you're done freezing more than your computer after visiting questionable websites late at night, you will be rewarded with 1 or hopefully more large Azure Era gems. This one is super useful and will likely have you farming the quest a bunch. You'll need 1 for the final upgrade for the longsword to the Azure Star Dragon Dance Plus, another for the bow upgrade for the Azure Era Soaring Dragon Plus, and 5 for the Azure Age Alpha Plus armor, and another 3 for the layered armor if you're interested. The Azure Age Alpha Plus armor set is fantastic. Unupgraded, coming in at 850 total defense, 4 level 4 gem slots, 6 level 1 gem slots, and some really useful skills, including weakness exploit, constitution, focus, and water attack if you're using any of the water weapons you've got too. It also has silver Rathalos essence on it, giving you slinger ammo secret with 2 pieces, which you're not really too fussed about I suppose, but true critical element at 4 pieces, which is super nice and I believe applies about 150% elemental damage with a critical hit. The upgraded longsword and bow both have great raw damage, solid affinity, good water elemental attack, and they both get 2 level 4 gem slots as well. These upgrades are super worth your time. And that is our event roundup of all of the USJ quests, event missions spanning all the way from low rank over to high rank and ending in master rank. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think about the USJ events, how you feel about the gear rewards here, and if you're gonna do it or you already have done it. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, folks, over 99% of the viewers on the channel are unsubscribed despite there being a very high majority of returning viewers. It would mean the world to me. If you do enjoy the videos, do subscribe to the channel. That tells me that you want more Monster Hunter World content and I'm here for it. I've also opened up the Discord server, which was a previously closed community, but is now open to all of you folks, and I would love it if you joined. Come on over, we've got a Monster Hunter World looking for group channel. Let's get some hunts together and make some friends. But until next time, I'll see you in the new world.